contingency.
Smith Creek is
You knew it was going to happen.
Smith Creek Code Talk.
I don't know why you act surprised.
How's that secret camera coming out there, Nana?
Is it time to start or something?
Okay, it's 5 o'clock, time to start the October 21st board meeting. Commissioner Stewart, lead us to the invocation and the pledge.
Please stand and join us. Lord, grant us wisdom tonight, Lord, as we do the business of the county. Lord, I just ask that you help us be good stewards of what the citizens have entrusted us with. And Lord, we ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the October 21st board meeting. There'll be numerous opportunities for you to speak tonight. If you'd like to speak on any topic, you can do it citizens to be heard on any agenda item put forward. If you want to speak, turn in a card to Miss Jessica up here, and we'll call you at the time. Approval of the
Motion to
agenda.
approve the agenda?
I'd like to pull item 3, schedule of board meetings.
Second.
Is that okay with you, Randy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Citizens to be heard.
We have second session.
Second session. Okay. We'll go right into awards and presentation. We'll have the swearing in of the new fire and rescue staff and volunteers. Mr. Lamache.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. When we moved into our new station, we had a swearing in for the first time in our fire department, and we decided that every 6 months we would start a tradition because we generally get new volunteers and career staff. So tonight, we'd like to swear in some of our new people and some existing that missed the previous swearing in. So I'm going to call them up and have them stand here in front of y'all, and then the Chairman will read it off.
I'll come down.
Sean Cochran, Scott Gilbert, Nathan Roberts, Mark Feliciano, Kyle Phillips, Julianne Harvey, Jeff Foley, David Bullard, Sandra Lee, and Marquise Riles. And y'all will turn around and face that way.
Y'all back on up. Back on up, son.
Back on up.
There you go. Come on back. That way you can all get in.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Wakulla County Sheriff's Department, Fire Rescue Department, and your oath of office. I do solemnly, raise your right hand, please. I do solemnly swear that I will support and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida. I will abide by all orders and regulations prescribed by my supervisors. For the administration of the Wakulla County Fire Rescue Service. I will conduct myself safely, soberly, and honorably and honestly. I will maintain strict, punctual, and constant attention to my duties. I will abstain from all offensive behavior or conduct unbecoming a public officer. I will perform my duties safely, fearlessly, impartially, with all due courtesy. And I will faithfully perform the duties of the profession in which I have entered. So help me God. Welcome. Thank you.
Summer had her fingers crossed.
We'll take the oath. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Marvin.
Yeah, clearly.
Next, we have a presentation by Dr. Elizabeth Carter.
Jessica, how long is this presentation? 10 minutes, okay.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you this evening. My name is Elizabeth Carter. I live in South Chelsea, Florida, and I'm here. Oh, okay. I thought I could speak loud enough. Yeah. I live in South Chelsea, Florida. I want to reinforce that. And I'm here on behalf of the South Chelsea Preservation and Improvement Association to talk with you about a plan that we hope you will endorse for us and be partners with us. This is the South. I've got the wrong one up. You know what? I'll just go through this real fast, and we'll go ahead with this. This is a proposal that we call the South Chelsea River Access Project, and I think maybe you got it in your material. We know that I would be preaching to the choir if I went on and on about what a wonderful river this is and what it means to us in our community. Honey, could you get the other PowerPoint, please? And I'll go ahead. It is not a surprise that this is touted often as being a major resource for the county and the region. And despite its remoteness, the river is not unknown. The promotional literature that tells about the assets in Wakulla County nearly always talk about it. The Wakulla County Bicycle Pedestrian and Blueways Master Plan, I think they mentioned it maybe 19 or 20 times. This is the plan that the Commission approved in 2012 and then again in 2017. The Office of Greenways and Trails and the Florida Scenic Trail endorse it because we have two major trails, the designated paddling trail and the Florida Scenic Trail there. There was a wild and scenic river designation study done, very comprehensive study, and they did recommend designation, and that sort of flittered away, but nevertheless the information that they obtained has been really, really good. Next. Back one, please. Okay. One more. I need to be on 3, I think. 2, 3. Okay, the problem. Nope, I needed one more. I'm sorry. Okay. No, the problem is that despite the fact that we have all this acceptance of the river as an asset and a possible economic opportunity, that it has very limited access, especially for citizens who are elderly or have disabilities. Simply put, the community has an amazing and well-advertised resource that has limited utility for its citizens and visitors. So, the plan, I finally got there. The project wants to make this river more accessible to us and more of an asset to the community. And there are 3 components of this plan. They are not sequential. We hope that we can work on all of the components at the same time. One component is a city park in the city of South Chelsea that would provide the citizens there and their visitors an opportunity to enjoy their river access in a place that hopefully you could stroll downtown from an event, or when we have restaurants again, a restaurant, and go down to the river and have a river walk opportunity there. Another component is to improve the present designated paddling trail. That would have to be done with a partnership with the National Forest Service, which we have already begun. The third component is to expand the trail, hopefully from below Bradwell Bay on Forest Road 329 down to Occoquan River State Park or to Buckhorn Creek or to the new access off of Surf Road. That would require partnerships with a lot of agencies, National Forest, the St. Mark's Refuge, DOT, but we think that it is a viable option. We think we can do all of these things with the right partnerships. My baby, though, is the Sopchoppy City Park concept, and that's the other. Let me show you.
Can you put the other one up for me? She's going to put the other one up.
Oh, I thought it was on.
No.
It was the one that. There you go. This is my graphic here for you. I'm sorry. Maybe you can see it on the. We're looking into the resources we had around Sopchoppy that might give us better access to the river. We found that this piece of property that extends from Camellia Street to the river was in public ownership. This was right-of-way that was obtained back in the 80s.
If you speak into the microphone,
Oh,
the public
sorry.
can hear us. The people on TV can't hear you right now.
This is a right-of-way that's obtained back in the 1980s for the State Road 22 project, which was supposed to run from, I believe, Medard or Sopchoppy all the way through the Apalachicola National Forest. The project was never funded and was not successful, but the right-of-way was purchased. A right-of-way of 200 feet on the south side, 200 feet on the south side of Rose Street, which is also County Road 22, was purchased. I'm not sure the particulars, but with the DOT, with Florida DOT. When the project was abandoned sometime in the early 90s, Florida DOT deeded this property back to Wakulla County. So now Wakulla County owns this considerable, I know 200 feet is not a lot of property, and when you take out 50 feet for a right-of-way, you've only got 150 feet. But it's also 225 or 1,225 feet long. And when you combine it with the DOT right-of-way, you get a total of over 300 feet of very nice riverfront frontage along here. This is not a swamp. When you look down at it from State Road 22, you want to go back? I'll hold this. It looks low because the road is high. But actually, the property itself has a very pleasant gradient. It's thickly forested with loblolly pines and mature oak trees, a lot of native plants, and it only has a very few wetland sections that would require a boardwalk. So our dream for this property is to have an access to it from Camellia Street that would go along beside the highway. It could have a trail, a boardwalk over some low areas, an interpretive trail, maybe some benches or a kiosk, and right at the river we could have a small boat, non-motorized boat launch. it is a lovely piece of property. It has a lot to recommend it, and we think that it would be such an asset to the people around Sopchoppy and for guests. We think it would tie in beautifully with the existing trail network that we have there, and would help the community to identify itself as a trail town, a destination for trail users and for guests and for locals to have access to their river.
Sounds good.
Are there any questions?
So everything would be on the east side of the river?
It's on the east side of the river. Now, if you, at some time in the future, want to talk about what you want to do with that 200-foot right-of-way that goes all the way to Aclotna River, that would be very interesting. But right now, this is a piece of property that we want to use. DOT will let you use under bridges for recreational purposes, as long as your structures are not offensive or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I have the hydrology report on this. This area has only flooded one time since they've been keeping figures, and it was in 2012 when everything flooded. Mm-hmm. The water flow there is excellent. There's rarely, I've never known there not to be enough water there. And upstream, of course, we do have some water issues. But I'm in favor of it.
Have you developed a budget for how much this would cost?
I do not have a budget, and I apologize, but it has just been it's so overwhelming. And because you can imagine what we have to do. First, we have to do a survey. Then we have to get, we have to get everybody on board. We've got to find out what needs to be done there to make that viable. And some of these slides will show you. Sorry. We've got to see what has to be done in the way of earth moving. We don't want to move a lot of earth because there's just excellent urban forest potential there, and also wildflowers. The gradient is good enough that I don't think we're looking at a tremendous amount of earth moving. Then we've got to think about the environmental aspects of it, and we've also got to actually price out the cost of the kind of trails we want, the design we want, the kind of how much the boardwalks will cost, how much the boat ramp will cost. I don't know. But it's not going to be cheap.
Excellent.
Also looking at partnering with grants.
Yeah, and of course this is going to hopefully be a grant-supported project, primarily a grant-supported project. And we started too late this year, and I didn't have everybody on board in time to write grants for 2020. So I see 2020 as being a getting organized year. We might be able to get some local grants, the little $500 things that you can get together to pay for basic expenses. I'm hoping we can get some people to donate. We've already had some nice donated time and expertise. I'm hoping that we can start writing grants right away for the 2021 grant year. And that in 2021, we'll be able to start spending some money for real infrastructure there.
Sounds like a good project.
Sounds like a great project. We'll just need to get a little more fleshed out before we go on.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Mr. Edwards, you want to introduce Mr. Winston?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm calling Never Never Land. Yes, our Winston. Oh, this is Winston Murphy. He is our new veterans officer, and we're glad to have him. He's going to be a great asset to our community. And Winston, would you tell him a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not that tall, though. Yes, hello. My name is Winston Terry Murphy. I'm a 20-year retired Army veteran. I've worked with disabled veterans at the Career Center. I've also worked with homeless veterans at Endeavors. I've traveled from Gainesville to Valdosta to Ocala just to work across the spectrum with homeless veterans. At the moment, my time at the center at the Veteran Service Office is Mondays 2 to 5. On Tuesdays it's 1 to 5. On Thursdays and Fridays it's 8 to 5. And with Thursday and Friday we do have the Veterans Service examiners coming from Tallahassee to do any claims. And the reason why they're doing that at the moment, because my certification isn't until December the 2nd. The 2nd through the 5th is my certification. I have done all the prereqs for that, so all I'm doing is waiting for the VA to come back and give me my slotted time. Other than that, I have compiled a lot of files. We have over maybe 2,000 files that have to be disposed of. So I'm in the process of disposing of those files and moving things out of that building so we can work kind of with other resources coming into the community. If you have any questions from me, I'm always at the office. I will be setting my phone to forward to my cell phone just in case any veterans or anyone has any questions when I'm not there. I'm normally not there on Wednesdays, but if they call, it'll forward straight to my cell phone and I'll be able to assist the veteran.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome. Thank you for your service.
Thanks, Winston.
Move consent.
Second. You got the items.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. I pulled out the board schedule for next year in April. I can't be here on the 6th. I was wondering if we could move that to the 7th. April 6th. Instead of April 6th, make it April 7th.
Works for me.
Sure. Sure we can make
Motion
it
to
without you.
approve with that change.
We can move it.
It just takes one day, move it.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
That's what I call thinking ahead, Joe.
Hmm?
I was thinking ahead.
Well, I have something I got to do that week.
Traveling.
All right. Now we're moving to our public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item under public hearings is requesting board approval to conduct a public interest hearing and to consider approval of a resolution that will find that the sale of the River Sink water system to Telquin Water and Wastewater, Inc. is in the public interest, and to approve the attached asset purchase agreement to provide for that sale.
Move option 1, which is to approve it.
Second.
Motion and a second. We have a citizen, Mr. Al Pacini.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm not speaking against this proposal of the sale of the River Sink water system to Talcon, but I just want you to be cautious and know that those of you who are not on the Talcon system, that the water quality, they've been fighting a water quality issue for as long as I've been here. We get notices periodically about the quality of water. It has to do with the high bacterial levels in the summer. With the chlorination, it creates trihalomethanes, and they're dangerous. The water periodically will turn brown, like tea, and we're told not to drink it. Now, in fairness, I've met with them. They are making some progress on chemistry and filtration to mitigate that. But just 3 weeks ago, we had a boil water notice in the Talcon system. So I understand why you're selling the system. It's good for the county. I'm all for growth and development and reducing the county's expenses, but just do some due diligence and ask some questions of them about what kind of quality of this will they bring to the system, the new part of the system that you're going to sell to them. Thanks.
Thank you. That was the only citizen. Any board comments? I have a problem with it. It's a $1.2 million asset we're selling for considerably less. Yeah, you can value it if you're doing a value on our income, but when you're talking about being resilient to future changes in our water, looks like we're giving away, it seems like Talcon has regularly out negotiated us on multiple things, and again, this one seems like the same thing.
Well, I guess it depends on how you value the asset. And
Right.
if you look at it, there's probably one entity on the planet that's even interested to buy it, and that would be Talcon, and that's because they own everything else around it. So anyone new wanting to get into the game wouldn't have any ability to expand, just like we don't have any ability to expand. I definitely see your point, but I see it as we're going to instantly put money in the bank from the asset, and we're going to instantly stop the subsidizing that we're doing into the system now. So if we decide to keep the system, we really need to raise rates, which, I'm not for that. But I think that's what it would take in order to make it a sustainable system. And the citizens that are going to be switched to Talcon are going to likely see a slight decrease in the premiums that they're paying now. So I think it's probably in the best public interest when you look at all things.
I'll sum up my position like this. As a private citizen, I wouldn't take that system if you gave it to me. It's losing money. It's a negative cash return. So even if you said, David said, Randy, you can have that water system, I don't want it. If I got it, I'd just sell it to Talcon.
I'm not advocating keeping it, but I'm thinking we've underpriced it. That's my.
Well, we don't have anything invested in it either, so that's another way to look at it. The grant, I remember when the grant hurt Tropical Storm Alberto paid for that system, so it was free.
And that's going to be the tower and everything, right? So we won't have maintenance to do. We just spent, $10,000 repainting the tower in the last couple of years?
That's right, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's quite a bit more than that, but yeah.
I think it might have been 10,000 just for the logo.
It was the 10,000 with the logo, that's right.
Yeah.
And this system is isolated from the rest of Talcon system, and they may tie it on in the future, but the brand new well has just been drilled, so the water quality issues there may be different than they have in the rest of their system until they tie their systems together.
Yeah, but we have numerous places have water quality issues. Shell Point, regularly I get people talking to me down there about their water quality. And so, Talcon hasn't really stepped up and taken care of some of those issues.
They've got but there's also some not taken up for Talcon, but there's, they introduced chlorine and ammonia into their system and formed chloramines, and therefore those long runs down to Talcon, or down to Shell Point, that's a problem. Like he's saying, they have to super chlorinate and scour their lines, and that's when the boil notices come in. So that's an inherent problem that's caused by trying to treat a carcinogen or a possible carcinogen, and that treatment is causing a lot of that problem, and that's what they have to figure out, and they're getting better at it. But it's just, that's a tough one. Shell Point's a tough one for any water system. Not taking up for them, I'm just saying, that's a tough one.
Long way from the well.
Long way from the well.
Yeah, but they're making money off of sewer in Shell Point, so it seems like I still think we should get a trade out of this. So
two different deals.
Yeah, but they want this. Okay. No other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Passes 4-1. Planning and zoning.
Yes, your first planning and zoning item this evening is a request for transmittal of an application for comprehensive plan future land use map amendment, CP 1809. This is for a 40-acre parcel located on the south side of Wakulla Aaron Road near the intersection of Old Bethel Road. This request is to change the future land use designation of from agriculture to urban fringe. The Planning Commission considered this application at last Monday night's hearing and voted 3-3, resulting in a split decision. The existing future land use would allow 1 home per 20 acres, while the proposed land use would allow 2 homes per 1 acre. The current zoning is agriculture, and the property is located in flood zone X based on the FEMA maps. The site is currently vacant and utilized as timberland. An environmental analysis concluded that there were no wetlands, watercourses, or karst features on the site, and although species of concern are noted to be in the general vicinity, the field studies did not produce any evidence that any currently exist on the subject property. A cultural resource assessment determined that there are no archaeological or historically significant materials on the property. Adjacent land uses are agriculture, rural 1, and urban fringe, including property located immediately west of this property, which is currently urban fringe, as well as the Chadwick Estate subdivision located just north of this property. The urban core land use, which allows 10 units per acre, does exist within a quarter mile of the property. A traffic study was provided which concluded that no roadway impacts or improvements would be needed to accommodate the proposed development. With regards to the residential needs analysis, the applicants contend that the subject property is better suited for growth than other areas in the county because it allows multiple means of access to Tallahassee, avoiding Crawfordville Highway, and it also provides quick access to downtown Crawfordville as well as coastal recreational activities.
Motion to approve.
Second. Oh, yep. Mr. Robert Parrish.
Good afternoon. Robert Parrish, 911, Sunset Circle, Carabel. I'd like to talk about 2-3 quick things. One, you'll hear from our civil engineer on things like traffic. And on traffic, just to remind the commissioners what you already know, we don't have the luxury of using our opinions or what we feel about. We have to go by hard and fast rules that the state goes by and that y'all staff goes by. And if there's comments from people that disagree with that, I would suggest that y'all might either change the rules that you have us live by or have the state change the rules, because we're mandated to abide by hard and fast rules when we submit our documents, which are also very expensive. The needs report, I will tell you that we are in negotiations with several local builders that I talk to almost daily that are highly enthused about the idea of having product that they can build on. I think if you look at the reports that staff can provide you, there's been hundreds of homes built in the last 3 years running. The other thing that there's been a little bit of confusion on is that there'll be people telling you that we've kind of been sneaky, or we've gone about coming in the side door, that we're not doing half-acre lots. These have never been half-acre lots. We're abiding by the zoning that staff has submitted for us to live by that we're doing here. That is 2 units to the acre. So when you do 2 units to the acre, there is no such thing as a half-acre lot, because you have your green areas, you have your stormwater. There is no such zoning in your county that allows you a half-acre lot, not that I know of. So we are abiding by what the zoning allows, and that is 2 units to the acre. Other than what we wanted to do was the 2.7, which we conceded that. The last thing, and I apologize ahead of time, I walked out of the office with only, I gave Mr. Edwards 1. I've got, can I give this to y'all? Sure. 2, I only have the 2, so y'all kind of share it. But in doing this subdivision, it's also a timely situation. We've been working with staff. We got approached by staff to see if we would be interested in doing it. The answer is yes. What Mr. Cutchins and I are attempting to do is to provide the county a new realignment. You mean to stop?
No.
No, you're going to be acting as the
civil.
agent here. so.
Okay. Thank you. But what we're trying to do is, with the help from staff, is not only realign Ivan Road with, we'll call it Aaron, thank you very much.
Old Bethel, right?
Old Bethel, I'm so sorry. Old Bethel, but also to provide the county an opportunity, from what we've heard feedback on, to provide a free space for y'all to, and I'd rather Mr. Edwards discuss that. I don't want to speak for somebody else, but a new opportunity for more.
What that is our planning to put a major lift station there. That this piece would allow us to be able to allow them to realign the road and then give us a place for a large pump station so that we can gravity feed up and down Wakulla Aaron Road. That'll be coming to y'all in the next month or so.
So what we've offered is to handle the entire project, so that we would handle the acquisition, the demolition, as well as the construction of the new road, so that there'd be no expense to the county, and then offer it back to the county in such form that the county might want it for its new utility station. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy Colbert?
Good evening. Billy Colbert, 2851 Remington Green Circle. I'm the agent for the project. Just real quick, I just wanted to kind of talk about some traffic numbers. We'd had a traffic study done in addition to the one that was provided in this report. That would be for the preliminary plat submittal. It's a little more in detailed. Just real quick on the 3 roadways affected, East Ivan Road, the capacity, the trips generated in existing plus with this project would be 213 trips. This is PM peak hour trips. Capacity of the roadway is 568, so that's basically a 38% capacity of the roadway at the end of construction. Wakulla Aaron Road would be at 23%, Old Bethel 5%. So
Does that include
it's the new trips with this project plus the existing trips.
does it include the,
The previous
Yeah,
project.
yes.
Chadwick.
Yes,
it does?
it does.
Okay.
So that was just kind of real touch on, because I know there's a lot of concern about traffic. So it is increasing, but, you know, we still have plenty of capacity available. And then I'm available to answer any other questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Alan Reese.
Alan Reese, 294 Emerald Acres Drive. I learn a little bit more every time I hear them talk about this project, that apparently a lot of things have gone on already. I didn't hear anything about a future land use needs analysis, so if that hadn't been provided, it has to be provided according to policy 1.2.20. Objective 2, policy 2.8, services will be located in such a way as to provide new development in vacant parcels lying between other developed parcels within urbanized areas and to discourage sprawl. You can refer to the 2017 needs analysis by Kimley Horn and quote from that: over the planning horizon of 2035, the county will need an additional 4,110 residential units. The existing land uses provide enough available acreage for the anticipated need. Objective 2, Policy 2.9, urban sprawl shall be discouraged through land development regulations that establish a grading of densities on lands designated as residential on the future land use map and lie more distant from the centers of urbanizing areas. Objective 3, encouraging the continuing use of land for agriculture through adoption of land use regulations which permit agricultural activities and supporting land uses which limit non-agricultural development in agricultural areas. This development certainly does not do that. Does this land use change comply with all the policies under Objective 13, the Wakulla Springs Special Planning Area? I don't see how you can comply with Objective 13 when we continue to move farther and farther into the Wakulla Springs Special Planning Area without the same level of input and without the same environmental studies that were done that established the original boundaries for that. How can you continue to ignore obvious intents established in the Wakulla Comprehensive Plan. The Wakulla Comp Plan has been compromised, I believe, and is rapidly becoming a useless tool for planning. The goal seems to be to find or make a way to allow the developers to do whatever they desire in negotiation with the county. I would speculate that there's probably already effort right now to expand the Crawfordville Town Plan, possibly without public knowledge or input, so that it no longer is a hindrance to development. Just like you weakened the Wakulla Springs Special Planning Area back in 2016 by vote of the County Commission, you're doing the same thing now. And so we will watch and see about the Crawfordville Town Plan. You need to slow these land use changes down. This is too much, too fast. Let the infrastructure catch up, get ahead of development. The Wakulla River is probably already beyond repair. Crawfordville commercial area is ugly, regardless of what you say. I do not know what's steering all this, if it's being steered by staff, the developers, or what, but I would say please, take a second look at this. I must conclude that either you're not looking at it or you're complicit in everything that's happening. You're rapidly destroying Wakulla County and the quality of life that so many have moved here for. By the way, there's a car went off the curb this weekend there on East Ivan Road, took out a mailbox, tore up a shoulder, and the driveway for Chadwick Estate comes out just past that S curve.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen Reese.
Helen Reese, 294, Emerald Acres Drive, Crawfordville. I oppose this land use change and transmittal of this amendment. The majority of people speaking at the Planning and Zoning and Commission meetings regarding the Parish Cutchin projects have indicated we are not against growth, but we want growth in our community at lower density, well-planned, well-managed, and implemented responsibly, taking into consideration all areas of impact it will have on surrounding communities and resources. You have heard our comments, but you have not listened. Legacy. Something a person leaves behind to be remembered by, such as tangible items, ideas, accomplishments, ideas, and values. Let me tell you what your legacy of accomplishments are going to be for this county. You are the commissioners who, in all appearances, have put money before from big interests ahead of this county, its resources, and its people, who gave this county over to development, simply taking the word of your yes people that were involved in all aspects without doing your homework, your due diligence, and not listening to the people who were most impacted by your decisions, who put developers and high-density plans of development and your ideas of what is best for this county ahead of what you should be protecting this county. What you should be protecting, and that's this county, its resources, and its people, who chose to put development in before having proper infrastructure and service in place to support it, such as schools, roads, and EMS. Who, in order to approve these Parish Cutchin projects, you chose to disregard and make random changes and interpretations as you chose to the county town plan, which is a public document and took years to develop. Who have and will continue to change the way of life this rural county offers for a way of life many people in this county do not want. You give precedence and importance to people outside of this county before listening to the people who live here and support this county, who obviously have bigger plans for this county but choose not to share with the people you represent, but somehow developers are aware of it, who let the development and their minions run the county, who heard but did not listen to your constituents, the people who voted you into office, and we will remember.
Thank you. Gary Haig.
Hi, I'm Gary Haig. I live at 40 Garner Circle East, real close to the project area. I have handouts for you, if I may.
Thank you.
Folks, I think a crisis is about to happen at East Island and Wakulla Aaron Roads. By my account, within the next 5 years, we could have 359 new houses a short distance from that intersection. 359 houses. 141 in Chadwick Estates, 218 more in the Urban 1 properties right next to where we're proposing this development. 359 new houses is already enough. Do we need 80 more? I mean, if we did that, then you could imagine if we had two cars per house, that's 878 new cars at that intersection in the next 5 years. Is infrastructure going to be ready for that? No. Right now, just a few years ago, Wakulla, Aaron, and Old Bethel were dirt roads. They were paved in the smallest width possible to allow two cars. They have alignment problems. They're not a very good road system. And and do we need all of the building going on in one place? I mean, we're putting 358 new houses right there at that intersection. That's wrong. You know, I mean, how many houses do we need in the county every year? We don't need 358. The Kimberly Horn analysis said, you know, that we don't need future land use map changes, that we have enough to build within the town plan. Why are we putting all of this in one place and piling it on top of each other? You already got Chadwick Estates going, you know, they're hooking it all up, but it's too much, too quick, too soon. It's on top of each other. It's in the wrong place. The roads, the infrastructure's not ready, you know, and it's your job, you know, to look at the whole picture. The whole picture is, you know, too much growth in one area of the county at once. The local roads are substandard. The sewer system's not ready until 2020, and now you're talking about a major lift station. You know, the high school and RMS are not, don't have enough capacity for these, and yet we steadily, you know, have growth going on in the county, in other places in the county. And now you're talking about a future land use change right here. You know, just please vote against this amendment. It's too much.
Thank you, Mr. Eck.
Okay, that's the last citizens.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I would like to address one thing about the Crawfordville Town Plan update. Staff is working on a Crawfordville Town Plan update. It's anticipated to be presented to you all in 2 weeks at your next board meeting. This was prepared based on not specific direction, but discussion that took place here by the board on April 1st of this year when discussing possibly either overhauling the future land use map or expanding the town plan boundaries in order to foster further development in the areas in which the board wanted to see that development take place. So that has been no secret. It's been mentioned a few times since then, and staff has been actively working on that.
So when that comes forward, will that be put out to the public before we make a decision, or is
it will come out
when we did the first town plan that was put out to the public? There was a comment period specifically for the public before we made this major change.
Sure. So this update is coming to the board for consideration of whether to adopt, if the board wants to make changes to it or have public input workshops. Absolutely. This was prepared based on the board's discussion at the April meeting.
I can tell you that I'm going to recommend we have a workshop.
Sure.
At a minimum. Now, the other one, we were paying Kimberly Horn to do it, so they did all these charrettes and, right?
Right. They did they did a lot of outreach to the community to make sure that the community bought into the town plan. If we're going to change the town plan, we need to have something similar go forward, you know, so the public can make the comment on those changes.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And any comments on this?
Yeah, I'll make some comments. I know change is always hard. Growth is always hard. You know, I think we had 10,000 people in this county when I graduated high school, and so, you know, certainly I'd love for it to be the way it was back then, but we can't stop change. You know, I look at things like this, and I ask myself a couple questions. One is two homes per acre. Is there something inherently bad about that or wrong about that? And I think the answer is no. I mean, there's high valued properties all over our county that have small acreage lots. So just the fact that it's a small acreage lot doesn't mean that these people are going to somehow, you know, drag down value. In fact, I think with the quality of the neighborhood that's being built, this is going to be one of the most environmentally friendly neighborhoods we have in the entire county under the Florida Neighborhoods Program. I think it's going to increase value. I think it's going to be an asset. And then I say, okay, if a half-acre lot or 2 homes per acre is not, you know, derogatory to our county in any way, where should it be? If we accept that it should exist somewhere in our county, where should it be? And if you look at, you know, if you look at this map and look at the larger ones, there's not a whole lot of places where it can be, where you can put a neighborhood like this. I mean, this is centrally located. If you had to put a pen on a paper, there's very few places in our county that has more multimodal access to Tallahassee than this spot right here. You know, most other places are at the end of a dead end. We can shoot down Wakulla Aaron, we can hit Trice Lane, we can hit 319, we could hit East Ivan Road, we can hit Old Bethel, we can go the other way and hit Spring Creek Highway. I mean, this is centrally located to move traffic. None of us want traffic jams. None of us want to increase traffic, but the data that we're required to make our decision on tells us that we're under capacity. And so for us to say, well, somehow we're going to ignore that data and we're going to be over capacity, I don't see any way of doing that. I could go on, but I do think that this is going to, in the end, I think once all the dust settles, once the property is built, I think this is going to be a tremendous asset. And if there's no desire for it, they're not going to sell lots. They're not going to sell homes there. And so they would have to go back to the drawing board. But I think there is a desire for it. I deal with people every day that are having a hard time staying in our county, finding affordable homes in our county. It's just, it's a problem. So I plan to vote for it.
Mr. Stewart?
I'm not going to vote for it, and the reason being, and Gene, I have a great deal of respect for you and what you're doing in the county, trying to build quality developments, which I think you've done a good job of. But I'm going to vote against it just because I want to see what happens with what we've already approved there with the 141 that's going to be built right across the road. Now, with all respect to you, Ralph, I agree that we have lots of ways to get out, but when I travel 319 in the mornings or any time of the day now, not just in the mornings in the rush hour and the afternoons, but any time of the day on 319, we can take those studies for what they're worth. I mean, it can say, and I think we still have capacity on 319, but you tell those poor souls that have to drive that every day back and forth to work, we don't have capacity. I get angry driving on that time of day. So all we're doing is adding to that. I don't want to exacerbate that by building another subdivision right across the road when I don't even know what the 141 is going to do in that area right now. I'd rather wait until we see some of that built out. And I told Gene this when we first started down this road, that I'd have a hard time wanting to do it the other side of the road this soon. And here we are. So I feel like I'm compelled to wait and see what that 141 is going to do to that area. If it's good and we see the traffic's going to flow, people aren't overloading the roads, then let's move on and we'll approve this at a later date. As far as the downtown plan, if this were in the downtown plan, I might be more compelled to vote for it, but it's not at this point. Should it become into the downtown plan, then I wouldn't have a problem probably approving it, but at this point, I'm going to vote against it.
My comments are the same I made for the piece of property across the road, so I'm not going to bore y'all with just repeating them, but I think it's, if we're going to have growth, which I agree with Ralph, I wish it was back the way it was, but it's not. This is the place for it. And Alan's, I consider him my friend and I respect him, but I don't agree with him on this one.
Commissioner West.
I just have one thing that I keep going back to, and this is probably a question for Summer. So when I read this and I look at these about all of these new houses, The developer has not come up with a plan of how many houses he is putting on this development. It's just what he could put there, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Should this get approved this evening, and it'll be transmitted to the state, it'll come back to the board for final adoption. If it is adopted by the board, then at that time, the applicants can go through the rezoning process and create a preliminary plat, which will give us the exact number of lots that will be available in this subdivision.
And by exact number of lots, we would know exact number of houses.
That's correct. That's correct.
I think it would be
Not to
safe
exceed
assume
80.
They're probably going to max it out, though.
Okay. And then I have another question. Are you a lifelong resident of Wakulla County, Mr. Cutchin? Okay.
Okay, so I get my turn. Number one, needs analysis doesn't support this. There's plenty of inventory for building in the county. There's no need for this.
I'll disagree with that statement.
We've just approved a large one just across the street from it, so in this area, there's no need for that. Our schools currently are over capacity. There's no adding these to our school system just means they're worse condition, and there's no downrange solution for our high school until we do that. We can't afford to destroy our school system, or then we could kill our growth. Traffic is always going to be an issue. 319 needs to be finished before we start putting a lot more traffic on it, and then we'll have a better idea of what's going to happen. And I would really like to see a sewage plan. We keep piecemealing sewage up into this area, one here, one there, one. I haven't seen the plan to how it's going to be paid for and what's going to have to happen to handle all this new sewage treatment to get it to our plant, shall we say. I don't see a need for this at this time. I'm with Commissioner Stewart. We've got a lot going in right now in this area. Why don't we do the town plan, get the community input of where we want to have this kind of development, and then that makes it such that this is real easy to approve or disapprove because the community has spoken, and that would be, so I have to vote against it.
Can I ask Robbie Miller just a yes or no question? He's a up-and-coming young builder. Is there a lot of lot inventory out there for you to build on? No. Okay. There's not.
To correct or reemphasize what I said, I didn't say there wasn't a need. I said because there is a great need. Everybody wants to live in Wakulla County for obvious reasons. We have a beautiful place to live, and I want to keep it that way. But at the same time, I want to encourage growth here. I've always done that. This place right now, we need to wait to see what that 141 is going to do to the capacity on those roads. And when I'm convinced, I'm one vote, and when I'm convinced that it's okay, that we can handle that, then I'm fine with moving on with development across the street. But until then, I may have a hard time with that.
Well, when you talk about needs, I'm just looking at the needs analysis produced by the professionals, and they're saying that with the current zoning, if we build it out, we've got plenty of inventory out there to build houses on.
And Chuck, we know anybody that listened to their presentation, what they were talking about. They said the county does not need to instigate any comprehensive plan amendments. I specifically asked John Sewell that. He did not say we should be denying comprehensive plans that someone brings forward. He was simply saying that we as a board don't need to instigate any comp plan amendments for density. He said, of course, based on the market, people are going to want to do comp plan amendments, and that's what this is.
Well, we've got 4,000 units, we were inside the town plan, there's a space for 4,000 more.
Where?
There's parcels in there that can be split up and make into these type of units inside the town plan where we already said we wanted this kind of development.
He wasn't talking about redeveloping existing lots?
No, he was talking about vacant lots. There's lots of lots in there.
I would offer with relation to the needs analysis that there are many land use designations that both provide for non-residential development as well as residential development. So included in those calculations are sites like Walmart or Winn-Dixie, if you will, that do allow for residential density. The likelihood that residential density be added to the Walmart site is rather unlikely, but those units are factored in.
That's right.
So they're factoring in a unit over the top of the Walmart?
They almost have to
Because-
assume somebody's gonna buy the Walmart, tear
Yes.
it down, and build houses. We all know that's not gonna happen.
2017.
Okay. So, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-2.
I never liked that needs analysis, Chuck. I'm with you.
Okay,
You ready for the next item?
yes.
Okay. The next item is an application for a short form plat, SF 1901. This is for the Walker Farm subdivision. This is a quasi judicial item. In accordance with the county code, each commission member needs to disclose any contact you may have received from any interested parties regarding this application.
No.
No.
No?
None.
If there is anyone here who is going to provide any information relating to this application, please stand up to be sworn. This includes the applicant and staff. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
This is a request for short form subdivision SF 1901 for a 2-lot residential subdivision on 78.65 acres of land located at 109 Walker Farm Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any citizens?
Even Chuck's gonna vote for this one, I bet.
Yes. No problem with this one. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Good job, Sonia.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, is an application for site plan approval, SP 1921, on behalf of Golden Construction Company. This is also a quasi-judicial item, so please provide any ex parte disclosures.
Oh, the applicant more than I care to about this, and also his representative.
None.
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 If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information on this application, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Brief description, please.
I will be as brief as possible, Commissioner Merritt. This is a request for site plan approval on a 7.24 acre parcel located in the northwest corner of Cager Posey Road and MLK. This is for almost 68,000 square feet of mini storage and boat and RV storage. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval. The property is Zone C2, which does allow for these uses, and is located within the Crawfordville Town Plan in an area designated as neighborhood serving commercial.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Excuse, one clarification, please. There are, planning staff has recommended conditions.
Oh, that's right. Option 2.
Thank you.
My motion's for option 2, which is approval with conditions.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Wade Brown.
No questions. That's all.
If you have, well, I guess my question's for Robbie, so if nobody else has any question, I'll go to Robbie. Robbie Miller.
Robbie Miller, 143 Rio Vista Drive.
So you've probably heard a lot about this, you have conditions on it, but my concern is that every time I go by one of these storage facilities, I have to look at rotting boats underneath wherever they're at, okay? And I think that detracts from our community, and I would like to, if you can figure out some way to screen those boats sitting under your pole barns, okay, so that we're not looking at rotting boats every time we drive by.
The landscape plan, you can look at it's very intense.
If you grow the plants and get them large enough and keep them there, that's my concern.
Yeah.
I just
And
want your
and I
commitment
agree.
that you're going to do that.
And the rate that I'll be charging will be double and triple your average boat storage, so I doubt they'll be wanting to pay their value annually, as far as ugly and unattractive boats.
You can't see him at Tom Ettinger's place.
You couldn't before, now you can somewhat, but there's some others around the county that are quite unattractive. Okay.
I agree.
So, that's my only concern.
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Good job, Robbie.
The next item is an application for a change of zoning, R 1911 by Devora Homes LLC. This is also one where you need to disclose any ex parte communications.
No.
Chuck?
No.
No. None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information on this item, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole
Right hand.
truth, and nothing but the truth? It doesn't matter. Thank you.
The right hand?
I don't think it invalidates it.
This rezoning request is to go from RTH residential townhomes to high-density residential HDR on 2 lots within the Camelot Phase 3 subdivision. This is lots 40 and 41 of Block E. The board recently, at the last couple of meetings back, approved a rezoning similar to this for other lots within that subdivision. Unfortunately, these 2 lots were left out of that application request, and they have since resubmitted for
Motion
that.
to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Chase Williams?
I was just here for questions.
Okay,
Good answer.
all right. So this is just changing, it already has the density, so it doesn't really change anything except how he builds it, right?
Correct.
So, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
The next item is an application for final plat, FP 1905. This is for the Bird Crossing subdivision. Any ex parte communications? Commissioner
On
Murphy?
final plat?
Yeah.
You got ex parte? No.
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 None.
None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information on the application, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
This application for final plat requests approval for a 2-lot residential subdivision on 10 acres located at 788 Lonnie Raker Lane. The proposed plat, you'll note, has 2 just under 5 acre tracts. Staff did approve a variance to the agricultural lot size requirement of a minimum of 5 acres due to the comprehensive plans policy that requires mandatory dedication of right-of-way. Lonnie Raker Lane is located within the portion of this property and has been excluded from this plat, thus leaving the lots less than 5 acres. Staff is recommending approval as it's otherwise consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code. Staff would also include in that motion to accept the dedication of right-of-way for Lonnie Raker.
Motion is amended.
Second.
Any card citizens? So, we have a motion and a second. Final plat. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Good job, Steve.
Okay, no commissioner agenda items. County attorney.
Nothing this evening.
County administrator.
Just let everybody know we're wrapping up the final little bit of cleanup from Nestor. And the good news is it was minimal at best, but our
Got
crews...
St. Mark's on the news, though.
It's got St. Mark's on the national news again. But anyway, our crews did a good job, and like I say, we're about 100% cleaned up. That's it.
Okay, that sounds great. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Citizens to be heard. Cliff Brown.
I'm not here. I'm local here.
Right up there.
I just got a complaint.
Okay,
I'm building a house in Stop Shop.
well, that's good.
Cost $3,850 to hook up to the sewer, and I had to tap it myself. That's all I gotta say.
He had to tap himself.
Y'all think about that.
What do you mean when you say tap it yourself, sir?
I had to dig a hole 10 foot deep, bore a hole in the pipe, run it out to my property line.
Shouldn't have had
And I want to do 2 more houses, and I'd like for the county to do it, because it's the county entity that's there.
What?
I want to clarify what
Should
you
have
say.
already been, there should have been a connection there.
There's not.
Did you dig a hole into the main sewer line?
I did.
In the road?
That's what the guys at the sewer department told me to do.
In the
I could
road?
do it if I had a backhoe and we had a plumbing license. And my partner's got a plumbing license and I got a backhoe.
Did they dig it in the road there?
Yeah, I got to replay through the road. You live down there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's not, that doesn't,
Somebody needs to
there's
talk to
already
somebody.
yeah, I'll talk to somebody.
You shouldn't have had to do that.
No, you shouldn't have to.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, you shouldn't have had to do, I mean, you pay a tap fee for the line to be tapped. It's supposed to be
agree.
run to your
That's
property
right,
line.
exactly. Well, you pay, there's a tap fee and then there's access fee. He paid the access fee.
Hold on, Nan, it's about to freak out back here.
Not necessarily did he pay a tap fee. That
I'm
would
up
have been
my
optional. If he wanted the county to do it, the county would have done it with a tap fee.
Yeah.
99.9% of the people choose to hire their own plumber to do it. Someone should have inspected it. Did you call for an inspection when you were?
The guys come down there and said it was such a disaster that when we got her, whatever you call it, that T that goes on there, take a picture of it, and we did the standing pipe, we took a picture of it, bedded it around so it didn't, because this water just poured in. The line's 10 foot deep, you hit groundwater at 8 foot.
I thought the specific reason, I don't want to ask you any questions because you're in the audience, but the reason why we had a tap fee is to keep citizens from not working in the
Exactly.
right of way.
That's not, we gotta cut
We
that
shouldn't
out.
have citizens
That's-
working in the right of way.
Yeah.
But who would have told them to do that?
The guy at the sewer department, what's his name, Ned?
Yeah, we'll take care of that. Don't
We'll
worry.
look into it.
We'll take care of it.
Because, number one is, we should be the only ones, I don't agree with that, we should be the only ones touching our mains.
That's right.
I agree.
We got to stop that.
They should,
That's,
shouldn't be
that's,
addressing.
did you
having
tap it with
citizens
did you tap it with a saddle?
Yeah,
Okay,
saddle tee they call it. I bought it at Ferguson's. It cost $76.
yeah.
By the time I get
Well,
done, it's
they
gonna
probably,
cost me
they
$4,000 or
probably told you
$5,000
they
to do
could
it.
tap it, or you could tap it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have,
If they'd have tapped it, it would have cost you, that was what they were thinking. We'll take care of that from now on.
How much is the tap
We'll
fee?
tap our own stuff.
How much? Okay.
$1,000?
Yeah, I'll take care of that right now.
Please.
So it would have been $48.50.
Yeah, it'd been $48.50 if we had tapped it.
You say right now, you mean tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm gonna take care of it right now.
How are we paying for that? This is a problem.
I never had a citizen tap a line when I was running the road. Nobody even asked to do it.
I wouldn't expect we would allow it, so that would be.
If we're not allowing it anymore.
Thank you.
Mr. Leslie. Colburn?
I didn't run away. Anyway, good evening. My name's Calbert Wesley. I'm the manager of a waste boat here in Wakulla. My company would like to share some information with the board, just general information, some things that we've been doing as a company to help you and to help our citizens or our customers. Just this past month, we've supplied 6 roll-off containers and currently supplying roll-off containers to the sheriff department for road cleanup, for large items as far as couches, those kind of items that the sheriff department's having to pick up. We've been providing roll-offs for our coastal cleanup, keep Wakulla County beautiful. Right now we're getting ready for the Stone Crab Festival in St. Mark's with 2 additional roll-off containers there. These containers are placed at these sites at no charge for these functions. Not only that, our company has made available to me as the manager here several additional or several newer trucks in order to provide better recycle. Just this past month, from September the 17th to October the 17th, we've had very few complaints. We've had 4 garbage complaints and 1 recycle complaint. I've been meeting with some of our local establishments here, organizations, sharing some information on recycling, trying to improve our customer relationship throughout the county. Had a good time with the Optimist Truck Club in Panacea. We had a blast. And trying to help customers to understand some of the things that our employees have to go through when, you know, contaminated recycle is placed out next to the curb. Just this month, it's been interesting being in this meeting. Just in September, we've placed or had 16 brand new setups in our county for new homes. This month to today, we've actually had 18 up to this point. So just in the last 2 months, we have provided 24 containers, you know, for the services, you know, that is needed. And it was just some general information I wanted to share with the board tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can you ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Calvert, thank you. I know you have addressed a lot of issues that I've received from citizens, and you're always on top of it, so thank you for that. Would you mind reminding the citizens how they handle if they have a television, a refrigerator, you know, can they drop it off? Can they schedule a pickup? We have folks watching at home as well, and just give a reminder of how they deal with those things.
Yes, sir.
Speak into the mic there on that one.
Okay. On a monthly basis, we need the customer to call in to our local office here at 926-7010 and schedule those items to be picked up. At the beginning of each month, every Saturday, we run our garbage trucks in order to pick those items up, whether it's refrigerators, TVs.
You do take
microwaves.
tube TVs, Calvert?
Sir?
Tube TVs? You take old tube TVs?
Yes, sir.
I've had one in my house about 6 years now. I can't get rid of it.
We don't promote it, but we do take them. Okay.
I have one too. I'm about to call on.
But
they won't even take my damage
yes.
today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Calvert, what is your last click count that y'all did on how many residential customers you had in the county? You know?
Do you mean new setups?
No,
Oh, quick count?
total.
No, sir, we haven't done one.
Todd, do you have that?
Yeah, Calvert, you do. What was your last house count?
Oh, we was running at 14,500.
Okay, thank you.
14,105.
14,105?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Thank you.
He said 14.5, but he got it corrected.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Calvert.
all right, thank you.
Calvert, you're very helpful too, and thank
Yes.
you and Annette. Y'all work well together.
Very responsive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank Annette too. She stays right on
Thank you,
Calvert.
Annette.
And thank you, Todd.
Okay. Discussion issues by commissioners.
I have one Ralph doesn't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You got one?
No, I'm good.
Department of Health. I have become embroiled in trying to get a septic permit for a local church, and little did I know how hard it was for these contractors out here in the county to get a permit. And I don't blame the health department. I think it's because they're undermanned, overworked, understaffed, like most government agencies. But the fact that there's only one person up there who can do all of Wakulla, I think they do, what other counties do they do?
Yeah, I use it.
Madison, and Jefferson.
So there's 3 counties. As much construction as we got going on in Wakulla County, you would think that we could have more than one person working on, I'm sorry I got back to you, but it's more than one person working septic. And the problem is the contractor, he tries to get the permit, and sewer is running on the ground at somebody's house. You got to wait, and that shouldn't happen. I have found it's almost impossible to get them to react to a phone call.
Let's make sure everybody understands this is not a county department.
No.
It's a state department.
Exactly. So, but we should have some pull with that organization that we help fund. Don't we help fund them? Okay. So we should have some pull to say, and I'd like for us to, if we can't do it as a board, then I want to go talk to our legislator, Representative Schoaf, and say, sir, you need to get us some help in the way of giving more money to the health departments. And hopefully he'll lend an ear to that, and we can get something done. But it's hard to get anything done. I didn't realize how hard it was until I started doing it. And I had contractors complain to me about it, but I didn't realize what they were going through to try to get a permit. So it's tough. It takes weeks, it sounds like, to do.
Say, I got mine done in a week.
Well, I don't know how you did. I don't know who you talked to.
The contractor went, I didn't do it, didn't talk to anybody.
I had it done at another house, and it took weeks to get it done. So, but why is there only one, I guess my point is, why is there only one person?
I don't know if they're down, usually they
For
have,
three counties.
usually they have a full-time person assigned to Wakulla.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
you can't blame.
they've got to hire somebody for Wakulla because the last person left to go to Key West. And
They
so
have
they're
a
in the
high
process of
turnover
doing
now.
They have a high turnover because they require such so much training that I guess they have to pay for to get, and then when you hire somebody, you don't pay them enough to keep them.
Right.
I'm not blaming the gentleman who's there doing it. It's not his fault. He's absolutely overworked, and so the problem is they need more manning, and I'm going to talk to Representative Schofield. I don't want to let the board know that.
Yeah,
And
you got
that's
my
okay with
support
everybody.
on that.
I have a question for you. So when I built my house, I hired a gentleman to come do the soil borings. Is there someone else, kind of like a building, you can have your building inspections done by the building department, or you can have a third-party company. Is there a third-party company that can be used as an alternative instead of going directly
I
to
don't
the
know
health
anybody
department?
that uses the health department for site evaluations. I always use Rich Bray. I don't think anybody uses the health department for site. Did you use the health department to do the soil borings?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Contractor did.
Okay.
But it's getting the permits.
Right.
I mean, I can't get an answer about what I need to do.
So is there a third-party solution to that can work around that? No.
Well, who's the contractor? Because, I mean, that's what, I just called up my contractor and he got it done in no time at all, and so I'm just.
But I shouldn't have to go
curious.
get a contractor. I should be able to do it myself until I get ready to do the work. I'm just trying to get the permit. I'm trying to find out the information, what I need to do. Can I hook into my existing septic tank? It's simply adding a classroom. I'm just asking that
You
question.
asked
What
me
do I
about
do?
it.
Yeah.
So,
I think we ought to maybe talk to Pad and see if he's aware of it and see if there's something that can be done.
Just sent Pat an
anytime.
email.
okay. That's all I got.
Yeah, it should be faster.
I got a call from Mr. Martindale, of course.
Yes.
Now, he asked about a code enforcement issue on McMahon.
Yes, that one was actually, it's been several months since that one went to code board. It is accruing daily fines. It has a number of significant issues going on with that property. As I understand it, the majority of the property owners listed on the tax roll are deceased or incarcerated, and the remaining folks hasn't been through probate, have kind of walked away from this.
At what point does the county go in there and hire a contractor to clean it up?
I do not have enough code enforcement budget to clean up that
Okay.
mess at that property. We're talking 5 or 6 dilapidated mobile homes, 100 years worth of junk and debris, probably some hazardous materials,
Where's this at?
junk vehicles.
Next door to my house.
Probably Randy.
It's all Randy's.
Is it Randy's?
My house.
So that is an ongoing one that hopefully will end up being maybe picked up by another individual and cleaned up someday.
I just wasn't sure, because I was talking, I don't know at what point the county, when it's
The
a
code
hazard.
board can order the county to remedy those. They are very, very conservative in making those orders, understanding that code enforcement has a very limited budget for those types of cleanup. So in this
Well,
particular
apparently it's a
situation, it
major
was
eyesore
not.
in that
It's
area.
bad. Come by the office, I'll show you the pictures.
We did one over near Lake Ellen a couple years ago.
Sure did.
Yeah, quite a few years ago.
Not like this one you had.
Not like this one. Yeah, thank you.
If
That was
Mike,
pretty bad, isn't it?
if Mike knows about it, it must be,
Bad,
it's
It must-
an eyesore on the whole community.
real bad. And there, I'd say you spend $50,000 plus minimum to clean it up, if that.
Easy,
It's bad.
easy.
Let's just,
Mobile homes, you're talking about probably 50 years of junk.
let's just look at that. If they need to request money to clean it up, I don't want to get into the habit of doing that, but if it's a major eyesore and there is no foreseeable remedy for it because it's so large, I wouldn't mind cleaning it up and putting a lien on it. And then maybe somebody would buy it and, redevelop it.
Is it owner occupied?
I believe it has since been abandoned. When we first initiated the case, they were people living there, and we worked with them for several months trying to gain compliance. But shortly after the hurricane, from what I was told by the wife of one of the property owners, they actually received some FEMA funding and moved away.
Skedaddle. So anyway, that's just my thought on it. If we need to spend some money on it, then, like I said, I don't want to get in the habit of it, but if this is, Lake Ellen was a small bite at an apple, and we could handle that in their budget, but this is apparently a much larger.
So you're saying allocate some funds to the code enforcement board so they can place that order for cleanup?
Does it meet the requirements for entry? Is it a
I think
danger?
that the board could make that finding.
We have to meet certain parameters under state law before we can enter a property, but it sounds like it might
I think
be
it
at that
could be
level.
met.
And they would have a chance that would go before a public hearing of the code enforcement board for them to make that determination.
It's typically done when it goes through the process initially, but there's nothing to say we can't
We're probably
go
going to
back.
end up with the property after all the liens and everything.
Well, we also have a process to assess those costs on the tax bill against the property.
But if
The
they're not
issue
paying their
here,
tax bill-
exactly, and that is the issue. If the tax bill doesn't get
I
paid,
don't know how much
then-
land this,
It is, it's 2 platted lots.
half acre?
About maybe 2 acres, if that. I don't remember.
Never know, maybe it could be turned into a
specifically.
community area or
And any
something.
value to the structures, are there none?
None.
Negative value.
So we
sounds
could quickly overspend the value of this entire piece
Oh,
of
yeah.
property.
It's an
Very quickly.
investment, not a moneymaker.
When you also worry about if there's that much stuff, are you getting contaminants with it and all that, and biting off a bigger price tag than you expected initially.
Well, I just feel sorry for those folks because there is no remedy. We are the only remedy.
We're the only remedy, and it's detracting from our community.
And that's
so I
kind of
agree.
what we're here for. Is to,
But that's not the only one in the community.
no, I said I don't want to get in the habit of it, but this is a large one, and apparently there is no end in sight. A lot of the other ones where the structure has some value, like Ralph was saying, somebody's going to buy it, and we'll waive the code enforcement lien once they clean it up. That's more than likely going to happen in most cases, but nobody's going to buy that place, period.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
The hog wire fence that's being put up over here on the corner where they took down the old Florist building right over here behind us.
High Drive and 319.
Is that a temporary structure?
I didn't even notice the fence this
When
evening.
I came to the office today, I meant to mention it to you. There's a hog wire fence being put up, and it's really ugly.
Interesting. No, I didn't notice it.
Okay.
Bring in some
So
goats.
We call
I don't
it
think
field
that would
fence.
be a
long as they don't put goats in
violation of the county's code in any way.
Okay. Well, look, when you go out
I will.
tonight, look at it.
I will.
Commissioner Messerschmidt.
No, I'm good.
So I sent you an email from the Mr. Williams that wanted was interested in the grant program for FEMA and mitigating his house.
Mhm.
And he had a bunch of people that he talked to that said his house would qualify. And he told me today that his house would not qualify. So I'm trying to figure, I'm trying to answer this gentleman, and
Sure.
how do I handle it?
His application may meet quite a few of the criteria needed to obtain this funding. However, FEMA and the Department of Emergency Management has relayed to staff that those projects currently are ranking at lower priority as they're using the funds to do community-based projects that would help a larger number of the public versus individual projects.
So, and are these allocated statewide or just for Wakulla County? Because I can see right now FEMA would be granting all the funds to the Michael area and
This is
getting funds from that.
Definitely statewide because it's administered through the.
I know the program is statewide, but is Michael Recovery absorbing all those funds?
I would think so. Melissa's attended more of these workshops.
And actually, I don't believe this funding is specific for Hurricane Michael. This is their annual allocation for that.
I know, but
allocation.
with Michael out there and all the houses that have been damaged and all the activity going on to repair after Michael, is there still money left over that these people could apply for?
What Chuck is asking also, is there any money earmarked for Wakulla, or is it all on statewide basis?
It's all,
Statewide.
it's all competitive too.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're competitive and if you're in competition with Michael, the Michael person's going to get it.
Exactly.
So, okay.
Chuck, Mr. Chairman, if I could add to that, I was in Washington D.C. last week. I met with Brandon Sweezia with FEMA and asked specifically about this item to see if there's some way that they could give us assistance. He told me the same thing, that it's very likely that it would rank very low and not likely to be able to be approved. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of a lift it is for staff. I think if there is a path forward, I certainly would not like to leave the citizens out there, but I got the same message that we're hearing from staff, that is probably likely that it would not.
Yeah, but I hate to say to the customer, no, we're not going to help you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so we have this, you know, the citizen out there that, you know, yeah, he probably won't get funded, but that's not our decision. That's FEMA's decision. And so,
Are we talking about the same citizen that came here that
Yes.
needed his, so it's not, it hasn't been done, and nothing's been done about the $780,000 pot, and that's what
Right.
he wants
We
to
sent him to look, explore that option.
Exactly. And so what is the rule on that again, about
So
repetitive loss?
They, well, with the Hurricane Michael funding, it's an income-based program.
Right.
And that individual had indicated that they would not be able to fit into the mold and criteria to meet that, to receive assistance from that funding.
They increased that funding level, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a
yeah,
moderate.
it's not, if income related, he doesn't make it, but he can't afford to pay them out to get it up unless he can get a grant or some way to fund it.
But that is only from FEMA, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Is there any way to get like an initial review ahead of time without fully putting everything in place to find out? Because if it's likely that he could be approved, I would support, let's move forward with it.
Well, and this goes back to the item that staff presented to you guys back at the beginning of August, is, you know, staff would need to put together a program for how to pick and choose those individual property owners, how would they be ranked and awarded, you know, approval from the board to submit an application on their behalf, and then those property owners would be the sub-applicant, where the county would be on the hook as the applicant. So if anything went wrong with that, that's a risk and a liability that the county would be taking on.
We all agree we didn't want to do that.
Right.
And this gentleman also recommended that we consider using the funds to purchase the property, and I think that's one of the options that you brought before last time we discussed this, but I don't think they want to sell their property.
Yeah, and I will say that since we had that discussion and the board seemed interested in purchasing properties to remove from the roll, and, you know, that are in the floodplain and would qualify, staff has actually reached out to all of those property owners. We've received one response that is kind of a maybe at this point, but no strong committal. So we are looking at trying to utilize those funds for that purpose.
And this individual's house wouldn't qualify for that program.
It is not on that list.
So if he was going to get this grant, which is probably unlikely, but we would have to come up with a program to do it, and that's what the objection was last time.
Yeah, because that's what it said. It's a callback for us, and they have to keep flood insurance, and we have to monitor it. That's just the same.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I hate telling, you know, customers, you know, citizens, we just can't take, you know, we just
Me
can't
too.
help you, so.
Push to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
David.
Mind
See
you,
you for a
Chuck?
second?
No?